good afternoon, and welcome to another fun and funky Tuesday with me, Sarah Gray from Funky Fossil Designs, here on the rather fabulous How to Craft Network. I'm sure that many of you watching already kind of subscribe to the channel, but if you are new here, then do like and subscribe, because there's lots of wonderful content that is shared, I think, pretty much daily on How to Craft Network. And every now and again, they let me on without Tony. Tony's not in the building. She's already heading off down to Create and Craft, where she's got a show at 4, shows at 4 and 4 and 7, 4 and 8, which will be fabulous. I'll be tuning in for those. But in the meantime, I am really, really excited. If Tony were here, she would describe me as a giddy kipper, because I've got a completely new and exclusive bundle for you here at How to Craft. I did a release literally just last week or so, and none of the product that I've got on the counter in front of me was in that release. I wanted to keep it very much for those of you that follow How to Craft Network, have been so supportive and welcoming to me and my brand in terms of some of the shows I've already done. So I wanted to just do something a little bit special. And given it's August, I thought actually, kind of focusing on butterflies, something summery and light would be a really good way to go. So the bundle that I'm going to talk you through now is available. I think if you look underneath the description, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see the products that are live in the show, and we'll click to the website later. But let me talk a little bit about the product. I know Tony did a bit of a preview of it when she was in Studio 3 on Sunday, but let me just remind you if you didn't see that. And I'll talk you through this, and then I'll do lots of hellos and say hi to lots of the familiar names and faces that I've already seen popping up on the feed. So let's start with this bundle, which is, I think, kind of the core of it is the A5 stamp set, which is called Imagine. And this is a just beautiful stamp set, I think. You can tell me what you think. It's got a kind of cascade of butterflies, some big sentiments in there, and also a floral butterfly, which is a great statement focal point on projects. And a lot of you have already commented how much so you like the fact that we've included a book in there, which for me was that sense of, kind of letting your imagination take flight, all the kind of magic that can unfold when you open a book. So I wanted to kind of pair that idea of the kind of the wings, the transformation, and kind of the literature side of it too. So that is our A5 stamp set. They're big images. They're clear, and so I'm not sure to the extent to which you'll be able to see. Actually, they come up pretty clearly on the shot there, don't they? But for me, they're probably some of the bigger images that we've done. They'll each of those two main images, the butterfly and the cascade of butterflies, they fill an A6 card without actually needing to have room for anything else on there. So these are really fab focal stamps. So that's the kind of starting point, the jumping off point, really. And then if we go down and look at the dies, I'm confusing myself. Tim's laughing at me. We've got some dies here. So we've got the, again, that floral butterfly concept translated into a die. It's a different die and a different shape to the one in the stamp set. So this isn't designed to cut out the stamped image. But it will give you a fantastically detailed focal point on your projects. You can see there you've got your solid base, and also then you've got your kind of more detailed line art, which will give you some beautiful intricate detail to highlight the butterfly's wings. Let's talk too about stencils, because stencils is kind of what I absolutely love to do, and I make them all myself. We've got 2 stencils in this bundle. We've got one with that kind of large butterfly's wing and some kind of fairly abstract scribble kind of images, which are meant to look a bit like text. And actually, I've got a demo later that will show you actually how much like text they can look. And of course, remember, you're pairing them potentially with a book image as well. So the context will give you that sense of kind of writing. And then the other stencil, it's the only stencil or the only item in the whole bundle that we've had as a product on Funky Fossil previously. Everything else, as I say, is literally brand new. And this one has just got that look of journaling to it with that kind of vintage style butterfly wings. And we're not finished there. I've been ever so generous, I have to say. We've got 3 washi tapes in the bundle as well. And you can see them here in the kind of the bottom of the, oh, thank you, Tim, that's fab, in the bottom of the shot. So we've got kind of a vintage script looking washi, which is almost like kind of a slightly aged paper background. We've got a washi tape with words in and beautiful vintage butterflies. And I think the best way to bring washi tape is quite difficult to bring to life on a roll because it's slightly translucent and therefore you kind of see the layers that go beneath. But in terms of just, I thought I'd put them out on a piece of white card for you, just so you could see what they look like. And of course, the white card means that you've got that kind of clean background for them to pop against. So there's a whole range of butterflies. And what I've done is layered them up over some kind of vintage papers to give you, again, a little bit of background interest and detail that you might not see on the roll, but looks fab when you stick it down. You've got your script words, and then you've got a whole load of fabulous journaling words, really, which, again, I will be using in demonstration. And then last but not least, we've got our MDF butterfly. So it comes in 2 halves, 2 parts, and it's very, very straightforward. Obviously, I think Tony showed you in Studio 3 on Sunday. Literally just slots together. So no degree in construction required to actually put that one together. It's really fun to decorate. And in fact, just to show you a bit of how it can come together and come to life, we've got a few of the decorated ones that myself and the design team have had a play with on the counter. So you can see they look wonderful as kind of decorations that you'd have hanging on just standing on a tabletop. But equally, Laura's done this one here, and she had, oh, sorry. I'm giving Tim a real workout here. And she's put some ribbon through the front of it here, so you can actually then kind of hang it from a door, and it's got lots of fantastic kind of glittery detail on the back as well. So these are really versatile, really fun. And I wanted to add a little bit of MDF into the bundle because it may be something that lots of you haven't necessarily had a dabble with. This is a small, and it's not a daunting project. And I haven't got a demo with it today, but stock permitting, I will be back on the 30th of August with another show, and we'll be doing more kind of demonstrating with this Blooming Butterflies bundle. And I'm hoping those of you that get the product today will be able to craft along with me. And one of the projects that we will do will be the MDF butterfly, so you get a chance to kind of see that one come together live. So that is our exclusive bundle, and it's exclusive to How to Craft Network. I really hope you like it, and I'm looking forward to kind of reading the comments as I kind of have a bit of a nosy at the screens. But I'm really proud of it, and I really do think that it's a bundle that just shows how grateful I am to be here at How to Craft Network, and I hope you'll enjoy playing with it too. Who doesn't love a butterfly? It is the international symbol of craft, isn't it? So hopefully this will appeal to you. Now I'm going to head on over to, and I haven't even told you what it costs. It unfortunately isn't free. If it were down to me, it would be free, but it isn't. It's a fantastic price though. So it's £46.99. And of course, many of you who are already members of Stamps by Me and How to Craft will get probably further discounts on that as well. In fact, you see that in the box below. And that's already quite a significantly reduced price on the kind of full retail value. I wanted to bring you something which gave you lots of versatility, but at a very good price. So you can have a play with this and enjoy some of what we bring you at Funky Fossil in a way that I hope you'll find reasonably affordable. So I'm going to just leave you with what else is on the show, and you can find online while I head over and get ready to demo. And before I do that, actually, I'm just thinking I really ought to say hello to some of you, because I'm always very grateful for those of you that take time out of your day to join me and to comment and take part in the chat, and that's both on Facebook and on YouTube. So Here on the Funky Fossil page, we've got Alicia and Carol and Jane. So that's great that you're all kind of joining in and chatting away. And then, wow, we've got more names to say hello to. And so I'm delighted to say their names that I'm already familiar with. Denise, great to see you. Amanda, Joe, Karen. We've got Gail and Michaela and the other Karen Whitaker, and Donna. Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking part, commenting and saying hello to each other as well as saying hello to me. And even on the kind of every kind of platform we've got live at the moment, we've got people saying hello and joining us. We've got Kathy there as well. So yeah, so as I say, keep chatting. Certainly ask me any questions you may have about the bundle, and hopefully the kind of demonstrations that I share with you will give you a bit of an idea of some of the ways to use it. But I know that the design team have said to me that they've not run out of ideas for all the samples they've made. And certainly when I was coming up with demos, I was like, oh, there's so many different ways I could go with this. I will, and also actually, if I get time at some point during the show, I'll also share a few of the samples because they are behind me and on the counter, but they are fabulous too. And I know you love to see samples. But let's get making. Let's get started and let's do a demo. I'm going to attempt, I think this is my first attempt on the How to Craft Network. I'm going to attempt to shake a card. So, hold your breath, everyone. Let's see how this goes. And what I'm going to do, first of all, is use my blending brushes, which I know you'll find on the show. I've always got in my hand, always like to lay ink down onto a nice piece of white cardstock and just get that really smooth colour, a smooth blend. Oh, and I can breathe now. I always get very nervous doing the introduction, but now I've got a brush and some ink, I feel a bit calmer. So the colour I'm putting down at this point is called Abandoned Coral. I'm going for kind of warm colours on this first card. And it's a very warm day. I hope you're all staying in the cool and out of the heat. Crafting is, you need to craft in the winter weather when it's too cold to go out. And you need to craft in the summer weather when it's too hot. So it's perfect for every season. I'm adding a bit of yellow here now. I'm going with Squeezed Lemonade. It's a really lovely kind of bright yellow shade. And I'm not really worrying about where the colours overlap. The whole idea of this is just to give me a nice blended background in these warm colours. And I'm obviously going with kind of colours that work together. So I'm not worrying about them merging or overlapping and creating a kind of a more muddy brown because they're all kind of aligned around that warmer side of the colour wheel, she says, as if she knows what she's talking about. And I can see some of you kind of, Amanda, you're liking your oxides. Yeah, Joe, it's not a day for, well, it could be a day for using embossing powder. You probably wouldn't even need to use a heat gun. It probably just melt on the card. Third colour, we'll put down 3 colours just to give this background a little bit of variation. And I'm using Rusty Hinge, which I don't often use actually as a colour, but it's a nice, soft, kind of warm, orangey brown, I guess would be the best way of describing it. There aren't many demos I do that don't involve a Distress Oxide ink at some point. I think the last time I was on, I was saying to you that my oxides were in Spain where I'd been on holiday, but I'm glad to say that they have been returned to me safely back with their owner. I'm just going back over. And one way of getting a really lovely smooth blend is just keep going back over so you don't end up with we don't typically then get any kind of strong transition lines. The colours will continue to merge together if you just kind of keep kind of laying them over each other. So that's a really kind of lovely kind of glowing background. I'm just going to put a bit more Squeezed Lemonade in because I do love that. It's a nice fresh yellow. So there we go. We've got a background ready to stencil onto. And I'm going to use both of the stencils that are in the bundle for this background, because I've kind of intended them to be fairly kind of collage style stencils. So they're very forgiving. You're not looking to get any kind of single defined image out of them, but they're great for layering up and giving you some background interest. Hi Emma, lovely to see you. Let's have a brown. It is crafty weather, isn't it, Emma? You've had the foils out, have you, Karen? Oh yeah, certainly you don't want those out with a fan if you're doing gilding flakes. So now I'm going in with some walnut stains. So I'm kind of contrasting with the colours below with something a bit darker. So my stencil design will pop at the over the top of it, and literally just doing what you've already seen. Probably just putting a bit more pressure on the head of the brush, just to kind of give me a bit more of a stronger colour. This is less about getting that soft blend and more about getting a defined kind of stenciled image. And this walnut, and you can see this this particular stencil of mine is already kind of quite well loved. It's taken on its own vintage look, hasn't it, with whatever I've been using on it previously. But I typically don't really clean my stencils unless it's got paste on it or ink. So if I've got inks like this on it and I want to then go over use it again on another project, I will obviously wipe that ink away, because the ink will continue to move with whatever you place over the top. Whereas once you've got acrylic paint on it, typically doesn't go anywhere. So let's see what we've got here. I'm not looking, and you see as well that I've put the stencil slightly off the edge of the card. I wasn't looking to fill the whole of the card front with this particular stenciled image. But you can see how pretty that looks. And it's got a really vintage vibe to it, I think. All your stencils do look like that, Emma. So I'm just going to go now using the other stencil, and I'm going to go with the big wing. And we're just going to put that on the other side of the card front. And then we'll fill in the spaces that are left with some of the abstract text. So again, I always say, but it's just worth repeating, don't look at your stencil as a single entity. There's quite often elements of it which you can move around and kind of select or kind of pull out of a design without using the whole stencil. So, onto your walnut ink on there. You can already see that those two kind of images work really nicely next to each other, don't they? They look like they're kind of intended to be there. And what I'm going to just do, just to fill these little edges around the larger wing, is just to add a little bit of this scripting. Doesn't really matter if it overlays onto the image you've already got. I've said it's all about that kind of looking collaged and like it's just been torn out of an old book page. There we go. A little bit at the bottom. I think that's, I hope you agree with me, but I think that's a really effective stenciled background, which would be great actually just to literally have the butterfly die over the top of it and just have this as the background that it works against would be fantastic. But I've already committed to doing a shaker card, and I'm gonna see that commitment through. I did do one once on Create and Craft, and I didn't properly seal the back, and the sequins went everywhere. So I've had a slight phobia about them ever since. But I know you're all very supportive out there. So I've already die cut. I've done the same background or a similar background. They're never the same, are they? But I've done a similar background here, and I've already die cut the solid dye from the die set out of the middle of the inked card panel, so you can see how I just place that down and cut it out. And the joy of that, of course, of cutting out something you've already inked up, is you do end up with a twofer. So I've obviously now got the butterfly solid base that's got that stencil detail on, so I can use that for another project. Always fun. And so what I've done, I did this, say, ahead of time because of the time it would have taken, and patient as you all are, nobody's that patient. So I have literally gone around the back of my my butterfly aperture with foam tape. So I've got all that stuck down. Of course, what I have done, I should say, it's not clear obviously on a screen, is that obviously backed the aperture with acetate, otherwise your sequence will fall out. And then we've put some foam tape around the edges of the butterfly, so that will give us a raised aperture that we can place our shaker items behind. I think it's going to make a really effective front for a shaker card. So what I've done already is I have used some of the squeezed lemonade, so the yellow that's already in the card front, so it ties together. And I've also, I don't know whether it will really come up on the screen because it's against a yellow background, but I've used some of the Pearly Winks Gold Shimmer Spray just to give it another little bit of shine. And we will stick that down, and this will then appear below our butterfly. And I'm matting it all onto some dark brown just so it's going to have a nice strong frame. You having problems, Denise? Oh, definitely, Leslie, go for the blending brushes. You will find they become one of those kind of crafting essentials. Of course, I now have glue issues. Bear with me. Let's just unplug that, see if I can get it to come out. There we go. I'm just getting that base on the card. And I've cut it obviously smaller than the front panel, so this won't appear behind the aperture other than where we've got our window. And then it's the fun part, isn't it, of adding the shaker elements and then watching me as they all fall out the bottom of the card. So I've already made up a little customised mix of sequins and glitter and anything kind of gold that I had in my stash at home. I'm going to put those into the centre of the card before we lay down the raised aperture. And I often find it quite difficult. I don't know about yourselves, but I find it quite difficult to judge how much shakiness to put in a shaker card. Quite a big aperture, but I don't want to put so much that it then doesn't stick down over the top. I'll just try and keep that from going out the edges, and we will remove some of this foam tape, and then we'll have the moment of truth. I'm using, and I'm not even using craft foam tape here. This is a foam tape that I bought by accident, real proper kind of DIY foam tape, so it might look a bit odd. Not on the front, it won't look odd on the front, but it will look odd as I'm taking the backing off here. That makes sense. I'm distracting myself by looking at your comments. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, Karen, about anti-static. In fact, I'll do that. Thank you, because I do have an anti-static bag with me. It is a good way of keeping your glitter from staying or sticking to the front of the acetate. I've found when I'm doing shakers, if I have different weights of things in the shaker mix as well, like sequins and glitter, etc., then that does help it move around. If I tried to do it all with glitter, it would just stick straight to the straight to the acetate. Right, let's follow Karen's advice. I'm just going to put some anti-static in the middle of my butterfly window, and then we have the moment of truth. I'll just, you can see, I'm really reluctant to stick this down. It'll work, everyone, it will work. I might have slightly overfilled this. There we go. If I'm not too vigorous with the shaking, I might get away with it. But that is lovely, isn't it? Well, it's moving nicely. Sorry, I'm looking at that myself. You probably can't see it. And what I want to do over the front of the shaker aperture is also add the detail butterfly. So I've die cut this out of the same kind of dark brown card that I've used for the mat, so it will tie together and it will tie as well nicely with the stencil background. I thought actually it's nice to have that little bit of the extra detailing over the window. Magic might be going a bit too far, Jane, but thank you for the encouragement. So this is one of those where I probably wouldn't risk sending it in the post for fear of it deconstructing. So I've just literally put a bit of glue in the middle of the body of the butterfly, so it will give me a little bit of dimension on the front of the aperture, and not pressing too hard because obviously we've got acetate there, so we don't want too much glue bleeding out. But I think that will look really pretty. And then to add some words, I could go with sentiments from the stamp set, but what I wanted to do was use some of the words from the washi tape, because I think this is one of the reasons that I absolutely love the washi tape roll with the words in it, is that it then gives you lots of sentiments or ways of configuring words that are just really quick and easy to use. So what I have done is simply stuck a strip of the washi tape on some white card and cut it out. And I've got a whole, just reaching out, I've got a, kind of a whole kind of barrel full now of words that are ready to stick down, and just add a little bit of glue, because obviously they're no longer washi tape, you've got them already on white card. I'm putting them on the white card because obviously you've got your white words, so if you put them onto black card then the words would disappear, so you also want to think about the background that you're sticking this washi tape to. And because I think this is really kind of what I feel about the way that we are here at How to Craft Network, I've chosen two words from the roll which say kindness always. That's what our crafting community is all about. So we'll just pop that down. And then we should have, you could have gone with trust, hope, bloom. Of course, bloom works lovely with flowers and the butterflies. So there's lots of options on this washi tape. You've got almost kind of a load of word stickers all ready to go. Kindness always. And I'm gonna take the risk of putting this front camera and trying to ensure that all the glitter doesn't end up on the craft mat. So let's see if that looks okay. Oh, thank you very much. I feel I've achieved something now to actually get a successful shaker card made on camera. I think I've earned a stripe. But yeah, I like that. Do you? I hope you do. Thank you for your kind of positive feedback on that one. And it's just one thing you can do with this bundle. Shaker cards, MDF, journaling. There's just so many things, so many ideas I've got buzzing around in my head on what I can do with this. So I'm going to set up for my next demo, and we'll just have another quick look at the bundle that I talked you through at the beginning of the show, because there are lots of bits to it. that you can kind of see there on the counter from that main stamp set, the A5 stamp set with those. I haven't even used a stamp yet, have I, in the show? So I've done a full card there without the stamp set even coming into play. With the dies, the 2 dies, which you have seen there in the shaker cards, and the stencils, which I couldn't resist using those in my first demo because I do love stenciling. I've got the washi tape, and I really do. I've got a fab idea for the washi tape in my next demo, because I know lots of you say that you probably like me hoard washi tape, but then I'm not entirely sure what you're going to do with it. And I think sometimes we're a bit sparing with our washi tape, and this I should actually say there are 10 meters of washi tape on each of those rolls, so you can afford to be very generous in how you apply them to your projects and what you do with them. There's the MDF, of course, which, I say, I haven't got anything prepped for this show, but I'm certainly wanting to craft along with you at the end of August and can show you a little bit more about how you can use your MDF. And I think that's everything that's in the bundle, and so for a fantastic price as well. That's kind of $46.99, or even less if you're in the club and enjoying all the discounts you get from following How to Craft Network. Right. I've got a bit of a twofer on this next demonstration, because it's very much about kind of playing with the washi tape and using that in our designs. So I'm just trying to think about where I want to start. I'm going to start with, and these are big cards for me as well. I want to start with a blank piece of white card. And I'm going to use some antique linen. I'm going to go now here with a card, or actually in this case, I think this is probably one I use more as a journal page, that plays on the idea of the script and the book and that whole idea of imagination. So this is where the next demo is going to go. And I hope you like this one too. I'm just searching amongst my blending brushes for one that I'm going to use the antique linen with. I'm just going to go around the edge of the card. I'm not going to do all of the edge of this card because I have done one already. And I don't want to take up too much time doing this stenciling, which I'm sure you'll see as I kind of put it together is very quick and straightforward. I'd love to know if lots of you do use stencils a lot in your crafting currently. Is it a supply that is one of your main craft staples, or you use stampers, you die cutters, or embossing folders, the fantastic embossing folders that we've got coming up later on today on Create and Craft? What is it that is your go-to when you're looking at a card and thinking, what am I going to make today? I do quite often pull out my stencils, certainly for backgrounds. You see how quickly and easy this antique linen, I'm only going around the edge of this antique linen is going on. This is a piece of A5 white card. And what I want to do is make it look like a bit like a book page. And so I've got a clean version of the stencil I used earlier. Obviously, you can clean your own and use it accordingly, but I just wanted to move a bit more quickly than that. I bet you even down at Create and Craft, Tony's keeping an eye on this glass mat, so I'm keeping it nice and clean. So all I'm going to do around the edge here is use some black soot distress oxide, and we're going to create that look of a book page, as I was saying earlier. I'm just going to use one of the smaller brushes. I don't often, unless I'm doing something very specific in terms of spot colouring, I don't normally worry about which size of brush I use. But I think this one, just because I don't want to inadvertently put black ink into the centre of the card front, I'm just gone with a bit of a smaller brush to keep it a bit more controlled. The stamps and stencils Yeah, I'm a bit, Donna, I'm a bit, I suppose, a bit of a latecomer to die cutting, but I do love the dies. It's funny, isn't it? Maybe it's just the design that catches our eye, and regardless of the format it comes in, it's what the design can offer us. So you can see this is a really forgiving stencil. It just moves down the border of this A5 page. So the fact that it doesn't cover the whole card front in one go is really straightforward. It just gives you that kind of seamless border without needing to worry about moving it or having any overlap. So I'm gonna jump to the one I've done already because you can see all I'm going to do, or all I have done, is repeat that step with the black soot around the antique linen or around the edge of the card. And I thought, actually, I could spare you going around every part of this card front. I think that looks really effective, doesn't it? It does look like a bit of a book page border. So that's the kind of starting point for this card front. And what I've done is created, with washi tape, I've created the solid butterfly using the die. So let me just explain what I've done for you. Is I've literally just covered an A6 piece of card with the script washi tape. So I've just put, so again, this is where using your washi tape, I know we put bits on it and we use it for embellishments, which I do all the time. But actually, when you've got 10 meters on the roll, you can absolutely just cover your card front with it. It's really easy to line up, and you don't need it to be perfect in any event because you're going to be die cutting it and creating something else that won't draw your eye to any overlap. So hopefully, as you see me kind of have a play with this bundle, you kind of think you'll have a go with it too. And if you do, then certainly do tune back in at the end of August, the 30th of August, because you'll be able to craft along with me and we'll do some projects together. And I can potentially, what I'll aim to do is give you a bit of a sneak peek ahead of the 30th of what I'm going to make in the show, so you know where it's going in terms of any supplies that you want to have to hand, in terms of inks, etc., that will help you kind of keep up with where I'm going. And that'll be the first time I've ever done a craft along, so I'm really excited about it, and I hope you'll join in. I'm not going to go down the whole piece of this A6 card, but I think you've got the idea. But you can see how effective it looks. You're almost kind of creating your own pattern paper. And so all I did was did that step on this piece of A6 card here and used the solid die and cut the butterfly out. This time I'm going to use the butterfly as the focal point, but I've got a project I'm going to use with this aperture. So that will be the kind of the follow-up demo to this, just to show you how you can make sure you don't waste that washi tape. You're going to get 2 projects out of this. So the fact you've used a number of lines of washi tape, it's still going to be put to good use. So, of course, the one thing to consider then when you are die cutting out something like this is to think about where you put your aperture, so that you've got something which you can use rather than it being all off in a funny a funny angle. Think about how you want to lay it out on the negative space that you're left with. So we're going to have our book. Let me get my Eureka to do a bit of stamping here. We haven't even got the stamps out yet. Outrageous. So I'm going to put the card front into my fabulous stamping platform, and we'll put the book at the bottom of the card front. And of course, you imagine how many other projects or things that you've got in your stash just this book will go with. I just think it's a fantastic image to kind of have as a starting point. You could put dragonflies, stars, so many different things with just the book itself is open pages and have things coming out of it. So we'll put that in with black ink. I'm keeping this one. I'm keeping it fairly monochrome. I'm thinking that at the end of August, when I do the craft along, we're going to go with much brighter colours. I suppose I'm kind of being led by the vintage feel of some of the stencils with this, but actually these butterflies will look fabulous in bright colours too. So we've got our book. Let's get our pages at the bottom there, at the bottom of our project. And I can't not use this fabulous cascade of butterflies. I think it gives you real kind of movement on the page. And we've got them, of course, coming out of the book. So you can see I've left the centre of the card relatively clear so that stamping can go over the top of that and not get lost. So we've got some, and this is definitely one of those stamps where I would recommend using your Eureka with, because of course you've got then the option of that repeat stamping just in case you need to go back in and make sure that all the detail catches. Because it's the cascade's kind of got solid butterflies and detailed butterflies in it, and the design team have done some fab things with it in terms of even cutting out some of the smaller butterflies and popping them up, give more dimension to the image. So they've started sharing some of their makes on the Eureka Facebook page, but certainly I'm sure we'll share some more over the next few days so you can get a feel for what they've been doing with it. So you can see this is a big stamp, and I'm just going to give it a bit of welly, just to make sure we make contact across the piece here. I'm just going to give that a little bit more welly. And see how these butterflies come out nicely. So you could leave it literally at that. I think that's a really striking card just in its own right. But let's just carry on and add a little bit more to it, because obviously I've got my fabulous scripty butterfly that I want to bring in. So Karen makes everything look easy, like breathing. She does. She's very talented, that Karen. I was filling then. I was looking for my my scripty butterfly. You can see now I'm thinking of having this one going off at the top of the kind of the flurry of butterflies, and I've again cut it out, this time in black. So let me stick that down. So you could use it, you could leave it solid, but I think actually I like it with the kind of the die cut over the top of it, the line art. Then we've got the detail in the images below. And are some of you arranging kind of crafting meetups? Because that makes sure that I'm invited too. Right, the same as I did before. Just put some glue in the body of the butterfly, just so you've got a little bit more movement there in the finished project, a bit of movement and dimension. I'm just going to hold that down for a little second because the washi tape got a slight coating on it, so it's not quite as absorbent. It's just stamping onto cardstock. How have I got ink all over my hands? Right, so I think that will look really nice. And I've already white heat embossed the sentiment. Somewhere in my pile, I have a sentiment all ready to go. But if I can't find it, then we know what we can do. We can use the, I don't know where it's gone. We can use the washi tape to add some wordage. I did have the imagination sentiment somewhere. You know I'm going to find it at the end of all of this when I pick everything up, aren't I? And it's a big sentiment. So I've done well to lose that in the time I've been here. Let me just double check it's not still in my folder. No, it isn't. Right, well, that did actually fly away. Tim and I are both scouring the craft desk and we can't see it anywhere. Wow. I'm very disappointed. You know, I've done a shaky card and now I've lost the actual sentiment. You'd have thought that would have been the straightforward piece, wouldn't you? Well, we'll move forward with some of our washy words, that's a relief, isn't it, that I've got some washy words to add. I could stamp directly onto the project the let's do that. Let's put let your imagination take flight directly onto the project, because I think it's a nice scale to fit with that large butterfly. So I shall pop this in, and it's so quick and easy to do. Oh, thank you, Roxy Lee. I hadn't seen your name before now. Thank you for watching. So let's put it there. And what I love about this sentiment is you've got the kind of the open words in terms of imagination. So it is wonderful for if you want to add colour or just highlight that word, maybe add some gold just to that particular word in the middle. You've got the scope to do that. Do you know when something really bugs you? Because you're like, I know I had it. Gremlins. I could blame Tony, but she's out the building, so that would be a bit unfair. So we've got this here. Let your imagination take flight. And again, just something a bit different for those of you who like your journaling, or you kind of, sending something to somebody who likes to read. And I just think it's a lovely sentiment. So what you could do here is, as I was saying earlier, is that because I've stamped over the stenciled border, you might feel like you're losing the word a little bit. Is just go in with some either a gel pen or some colouring pencils or your alcohol markers if you're using the right ink. This isn't the right ink for that. You would need Memento, and just bring that image back out. I'm looking to see if I've got anything on my desk that will enable me to do that. But I don't. I'll go with this. Just to show you. This is just for the sake of kind of illustration, really. So the kind of brown does go with the antique linen, but just by having that bit of wording highlighted with just a coloured pencil, it just will stand out from the border. Or if you'd heat embossed it and stuck it on like I was planning to do, none of that would have been an issue. Seem to manage to got ink over all of this. So I'm going to leave that word there, but you'll see you'll see the idea as I'm going through. So we've got the butterfly at the top here. We'll stick that down so it looks like it's kind of joining the fleet of butterflies on the card front, and I'm kind of having it come off the edge of the page. Oh, hi, Maureen. Yeah, it would be lovely if you catch up later and see what we made in our first demo. But thank you for joining us, though. So this is where the project was going. If I just put this onto some black card, and you can see that actually that kind of wording coloured in does look okay, doesn't it? You can see it coming forward from the background. And this, for me, will be something I'll probably stick into a journal. Hi, Sharon. How are you? I'm sure you'll be prepping demos for something fabulous coming up. There's a queen of die cutting. I'm glad you like the butterfly. So, Tim will be very proud of me for sticking things down. And I will finish colouring in that word and share a photo with you later. But I think that looks really effective. I'm pleased that for me to do something in A5 is really quite a big project. But I do think it has that really kind of look of the book at the base, and the sentiment tying in with that kind of stenciled border. But just before we kind of call it a day, I don't want to go without obviously kind of saying what could you do, or how would you make use of the aperture that you've got with your washi tape, because if you were gasping at my use of washi tape and how generously I was applying it, then you would want to ensure you make use of the background as well. And I have been very generous with this washi tape too, which I love. These vintage butterflies, I just think they're fantastic. You can see I've not worried at all about joining everything up and making it neat in the centre, because that is not going to be on show. I just think it looks like a kind of encyclopedia, the kind of a page out of an encyclopedia, just to have those butterflies in the background. And what I will do to bring this to life, you could put one of the detail butterflies in the centre, but let's stamp a sentiment in the centre of this butterfly, and that will just bring the eye right to the middle of it. So I'm going to just leave the aperture where it is, so I know that where I'm placing my stamp is going to sit in the right place, and we'll use the other sentiment that comes in this A5 set, which is that without imagination, we have no wings. And that will just go in the middle. And I'll just pick that up. I'll leave the, no, I won't. I'll take the aperture away. Just I'm going to add some embossing powder, so I don't want that to get covered in embossing powder. And we'll use some Versamark ink and just heat emboss this in white. Thank you, Joe. I do like the sentiments with this stamp set. I love reading. I don't read as much as I used to, so my way around it is to craft about reading. I thought that was the best way of combining both activities. I don't know whether it probably has caught everything perfectly well, but I'm just going to add another little bit of Versamark before we put the white heat embossing powder on over the top. I've got to one side. We're talking about superpowers now, Amanda. If I had a superpower, mine would be how to craft. That's what I'd like to be able to do. Let me just, excuse me 1 second while I get a little bit of paper so I can catch this embossing powder. So here we go. Oh, I forgot to use my anti-static bag, didn't I? But I think I've got away with it this time. Oh, thank you, Joe. I wasn't fishing really for compliments, but you see so much amazing inspiration, don't you? On the Eureka group, I mean, I left a comment earlier, I think it was on one of Paul's samples with the embossing folders. I just like the things people make, I just always amaze me. That's the problem, isn't it? You can spend the whole day looking at other people's making and not necessarily do it for yourself. So we've got to strike a balance, haven't we? I'm hoping you're liking the bundle and what I've bought to How to Craft Network and some of the ideas of what you can do with it. I'm just trying to find something. I'll use one of my blending brushes just to get a bit of this debris away. Probably not going to be visible. And I'm just going to heat emboss this. So bear with me a second. I remember this embossing gun was super high powered. Bring this out. There you go. Oh, I'm glad your order went through, Denise. Thank you for persevering. I'm really going to look forward to seeing all the things that you make with this bundle, and as you know, you'll be inspiring me by sharing what you do make. So please do show us what you come up with, and then hopefully, well, there should be time, obviously, between any orders you place today and the end of August to have it in your hands, ready to go for us to craft in together. So I've got this now positioned so it will go nicely in the centre of our aperture. And no show would be complete without my jumbo roll of foam tape, which is massive. That's never leave home without it. I'm just wanting to add a little bit of dimension to the back of this card, the back of this kind of front panel, so it stands out from the black base behind it. Oh, Denise, that's really kind. Right. You can be a happy kipper in the US. It is permitted. It's not a phrase I'd heard used for years until I heard Tony saying it. So, foam tape. Fortunately, this is not a shaker card, so I can be a little bit more random in my foam tape application. And we'll get this over the top. So this is just, as I say, this is just the idea for what you could do with essentially the waste, the negative of the butterfly that you've already cut out. That's what I just wanted to share with you, is how quickly two cards can come together when you've got just that one die cut aperture and lots of washi tape as well, which is certainly what you've got here. Right. I'm just going to stick this down. I mean, honestly, I would paper my walls with that butterfly washi tape. I just think it's lovely. I'm sticking it down. I'm just going to give it that little second to grab because of that washi tape kind of having a slight coating on it. And as a supplementary, I mean, this would be a gorgeous journal cover as well, wouldn't it? Just thinking about it. That would be fantastic on a journal. And we're literally just going to matte that in black. And we have got, I think, something that looks rather elegant. And then I'll probably need to let you go because we all need to get kind of our refreshments in for Create and Craft later. There we go. Yeah, it's got a really vintage feel, hasn't it? So just literally, I don't know how long that took me to do, But if you can see there, 2 really quick cards and hopefully some slightly unusual ideas for using your washi tape. You know, don't always think it's simply there as a little bit of an embellishment or a kind of just a little touch to go on the edge. You can absolutely use it for creating die cuts and base cards, particularly when you've got a big roll. And if you say, like me, you hoard the washi tape, then use it up because it gives you more permission to buy some more. So I really do hope you have enjoyed those demos. I made 3 cards in this show. So, you know, I kind of started bravely with my shaker card as well, and 3 different cards we've used here. We've used the dies, the stamps, the stencils, the washi. But I think we've used everything in the bundle other than the MDF. And so that will certainly be something that features in our crafts along at the end of August. Thank you so much, everybody, for keeping me company and for commenting. Do you know, I forgot to mention that I was going to give a bundle away. And I am going to give a bundle away. So if you leave a comment after this show's gone off air, then please do, because Tony will be announcing a winner of one of these bundles on her show on Friday. I'm so sorry I forgot to mention that earlier, but please do comment and you'll be in a chance of winning a bundle yourself. Thank you again for spending some time this afternoon with me, and hopefully I'll see you again at the end of August. Bye for now.